Welcome to Films and Stuff with your hosts, Pete Mitchell and Ethan Hunt.
Pete, Films and Stuff, welcome back.
That's right. Thank you, Ethan.
Special episode because you and I have seen, unscheduled, the new film, Emily the Criminal, starring someone I've always really liked. Yeah?
Yeah, Aubrey Plaza.
Aubrey Plaza. Should we just dive into, without giving away like spoilers or something, you want me to do like a quick synopsis?
Yeah, let's do a quick synopsis. That'll be great.
So I consider this like a super under the radar movie that I was only aware of because you told me. So Aubrey Plaza is Emily, the lead character. She is a kind of typical young adult struggling to find a job in, I guess it's Los Angeles area, something that seems like California. She's doing a bunch of catering, delivery type jobs, and she gets through a coworker an opportunity to be I guess I call it like a mule in a credit card fraud group. So she's paid like $300 to use a stolen credit card to get a big screen TV. And then because she's successful here, they give her a bigger job. The job goes a little bit badly, but she pulls it off. And after pulling it off, she strikes up a very like sweet, sincere relationship with who she believes is the leader of this group. The leader of the group is actually taking orders from his older asshole-ish cousin. The cousin doesn't pay the leader, who's Aubrey Plaza's boyfriend now. And Aubrey and her new boyfriend come up with a scheme to basically screw over the older cousin. I think that covers it, right?
Yeah, basically. That's exactly right.
So no spoilers involved. It's just simple plot. But I thought that this was very, very good, right? It had just the right balance for me. Not too vulgar, not too violent, had a little bit of action. I thought everything was very realistic. No superpowers, no anything else. It was just a good old-fashioned, like, one-off movie, right?
It was a small slice one-off movie. It demonstrated that Aubrey Plaza, has some serious acting chops. Because I think most people will know Aubrey Plaza from Parks and Rec. Where
Bad
she plays
Grandpa. Bad Grandpa.
And Bad Grandpa, right? Where she plays this snarky, sarcastic teenage girl. So I thought this was really nice. It's a nice change of pace. You get to see a little bit of depth to her acting abilities. One. Two, I liked the way she portrayed it because this movie really gave me vibes of Adam Sandler's Uncut Gems. High energy, very frenetic, long single takes. There were moments where I was holding my breath because I was nervous for her.
Yeah.
And I thought, and that's rare. It's rare to really see that happen. I just thought it was really good. I thought I was so impressed with it. It's a movie I've heard about for maybe a month or so now because she's been doing a press tour for it. And everyone's ranting and raving about it. I thought, okay, we should get in on this. And I'm really glad that we did.
Yeah, I agree. I would be surprised if anyone or any couple went to go see this movie and they walked out like, oh, that was terrible. I can't imagine it. From male, female, old, young, I'm really, maybe someone doesn't love it, but I don't think anyone can walk out of that cinema saying, that was terrible. I shouldn't have seen that.
Yeah, I was very pleased with it. I highly recommend it to anyone. The moment I saw it, I sent a message to Ethan and I said, you have to watch this. It is 100% a must watch wherever you can get it. It is a smaller scale movie. It's what most people would consider an independent film. So it will not be the easiest film to watch. I'm not saying it'll be impossible for you to go to an AMC or here in the UK, like a View or an Odeon or to a Real Cinemas in Dubai. I'm not saying that it's impossible, but I will say that it'll be harder because if it's in those big chains, it'll be a very limited showing.
What I really want to ask you is that I said this is a very nice one-off movie. Do you think there's going to be a sequel now?
No, I just don't see it. I don't
Really?
see it because the way the movie ended, it didn't leave itself. Look, all movies leave room for sequels if you wanted to, but they really buttoned it up nicely. You really get a sense of growth and progression for Emily.
Yeah.
It's a loop. Where does she go from here? What she becomes a master criminal or a bank robber? I don't see any of that.
I mean, if the studio approached us though to write a sequel, I think there is enough room for one. And I think it could be one of two things, right? It could be either she decides that she wants to get revenge on Yusuf, or not Yusuf, Yusuf's cousin. It could be Yusuf's cousin tracks her down and it turns into a John Wickian or Bullet Train type action movie. And it could just be following her in her life where she becomes kind of like she's a lady boss, right? And we just follow her and all the different trials that she's got, commanding now what seems to be like a very good sized empire.
I don't see it. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I don't see it. I do. If there's going to be a sequel, first of all, I don't think a studio is going to come in and say we should make a sequel to this because that's the whole point of an independent film, is that no studio wanted to really make this movie anyway, or none of the big 3 or 4. So we made it, for next to no money with as limited a budget and as limited a crew as we could. And it was really a story-driven film. Mm. And 2, if we do see a sequel, maybe the other thing I see is that she's on the run, as we know, right? Because I don't see Yusuf coming, or Yusuf's cousin coming in as an element, because she's running from law enforcement as well. Mm-hmm. So what I see is that she gets another protege the way she was the protege.
Oh, we've got a Robert Redford, Brad Pitt type situation, right?
Kind of situation.
Yes.
And she then kind of mentors this younger version of her, whether it's a boy or a girl,
yes.
We don't know. It's irrelevant. She mentors this kind of person. She sees herself in this person. And then that person, the twist is that person was actually the FBI all along and brings her in.
Oh,
Something
it's a
like
point.
that.
It's a Point Break situation.
Exactly.
Oh man, how are you not getting excited about this?
Because
Johnny Utah, you're not excited about.
You know why I'm not super excited about this? Because within me telling you in the 30 seconds that I took to come up with a potential sequel, you already outlined 2 other movies that's it's exactly like.
Wouldn't you want to see another Point Break? Brody and Johnny Utah? I mean, that's a classic movie. Not the remake, but the original one is amazing.
I know what you're saying, but this becomes like a potentially, what was that movie with Robert Redford and Brad Pitt where they're spies, CIA guys?
I want to say The Recruit, The Apprentice.
Not The Recruit.
Not
that
Red
was
Corner. It was something. It was something like The Apprentice. Yeah, it was something like The Apprentice.
I mean, I still remember the flask and the whiskey foxtrot or whiskey tango code name for the mission, but I can't remember the name of the movie.
I mean, I remember, I thought that was one of the more emotional endings that wasn't centered around love or death, right?
Yeah.
Love or death endings are easy to be emotional about, right? This was, I thought, very unique in the sense that it had nothing to do with love or death. It was simply about loyalty and not letting someone go. I mean, just remember, if you recall, it was Robert Redford. Remember, he took all his retirement that he was going to buy like some small island villa. He
pretended that he was buying an island villa, but he wasn't really, right? He used that money to fund a operation.
And he asked to get like coordinates, and he said he was getting at the shoreline of his place, but it was really of, I guess it was China where Brad Pitt was being held, right?
Yeah,
He
or
used
wherever
his,
it was. Exactly.
used his money. He retraced the person's signature on his farewell letter to get the order. He paid off the prison guard to cut the lights. Oh,
yeah, all that to exfiltrate
giving
him.
me chills, right?
Yeah, it was really good. It was really one of the best spy movies I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But we're back. We're going off on our usual tangent.
That's what I'm saying. How can you not find Emily the Criminal should have a sequel? It would be so powerful. I'm already pitching it to the studio. Point Break versus that movie that we can't think of the title of. Right?
I'll tell you what. If you get Aubrey Plaza in and you get a studio in, I will help you write that movie.
I mean, maybe this is something that she does not next year, in 7 years. It's something that you give it a little bit of time to like marinate, and then you come back and you're like, no, let's
Aubrey Plaza's on a high right now. She's got another movie coming out, Operation Fortune.
What's that
with
about?
Jason Statham, with Hugh Grant, with Josh something. I can't remember. Really handsome guy who doesn't live in Hollywood. Famously almost left Hollywood. He was the investigator in Sin City.
I have no idea who that is.
I can't remember his name, and it's escaping my mind. It's a great movie. It's about where they recruit a Hollywood star as a CIA asset because the criminal that they're chasing loves this Hollywood star. It's a little bit.
It sounds like the Nick Cage. That's Nick Cage.
I was about to say it's a little bit like that, but not quite. But it's in that same ballpark, and it's hilarious. It's supposed to be great, but it was supposed to come out earlier this year, but they pulled it out of the release for reshoots because when the movie was made,
what's it called?
Operation Fortune. And the reason they pulled it is because the main bad guys, or a lot of the bad guys, were Ukrainian. Ooh. And they didn't want to release the movie with Ukrainian bad guys right now because it's a politically charged thing. So Guy Ritchie agreed to pull it and change it. I don't know how they're going to do that.
Oh, it's Guy Ritchie and all his typical guys, right? Jason Statham, Hugh Grant, Josh Hartnett's
Josh Hartnett. There you go. That's what I'm saying. So Josh Hartnett. He's the
Max
actor.
Beasley. Oh man, it's his old like drinking buddy group, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's what I'm really looking forward to that movie. It looks hilarious. It looks like it's going to be a good fun time, but we don't know when it's going to be released. All
right. I never heard of this, so thanks for introducing me to it. It is very much a Guy Ritchie.
It's Guy Ritchie in the sense of some of the cast and some of the sense of humor, but it's not Guy Ritchie in that it's like a London boiler room style movie.
Yeah.
So it's not like Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, but it's got some of the same actors and it's got a lot of the same humor. So, because Guy Ritchie's also kind of gone a little bit more Hollywood over just the low-key movies he used to make. Anyway, so Emily in Paris, it is definitely a must-watch in the cinema.
Emily the Criminal, not Emily in Paris. You're thinking of your stream and skip assignment.
Emily in Paris is a must-skip by all means. Emily the Criminal is a must-subscribe/must-watch.
So many Emilys. And that means it's time that we bid farewell, and our next episode is Stream or Skip. And I'm really excited because we've got 2 amazing things to discuss and 1 maybe not so amazing.
Oh, and I do want to just quickly say before we go, I also watched, and I gave you a recommendation.
Oh, yeah.
Confess Fletch. So we're counting this as a cinematic release. It is a very complicated release. It was released on limited theaters in terms of cinemas. It's also available on video on demand, premium video on demand. So even if you're subscribed, some networks, I think it's available, for example, on Amazon Prime for, I don't know, $25 or whatever it is. And then it will go onto a streaming service, I believe Showtime, in late October, early November. That's what I remember. We are considering it a cinematic release because it's a complicated release thing, just for the ease of our rankings. I must tell you, if anyone remembers the Fletcher movies from the 80s with Chevy Chase.
Can you remind me of what happened in Fletch? I remember Fletch with Chevy Chase. I cannot tell you any single plot detail of this movie.
I was too young to really appreciate the plot, but I was also old enough to appreciate, first of all, Chevy Chase. So it was comedic. It was funny. I understood that some things were funny. And Chevy Chase's take on this character, Fletcher. So Fletcher is based on a series of books. Fletcher is an investigative journalist who helps solve crimes. And he was like, Chevy Chase's take was that, he wore outfits, he wore disguises that were really over the top and kind of uncovered or unraveled this mystery. And it was funny from what I remember. I don't know how well it's held up. A, because it's an 80s era comedy versus, and B, also because Chevy Chase himself has a lot of baggage now. So I don't know how well that's held up over time because I haven't seen those movies since I was, 10. In any case, let's talk about the modern reiteration, Confess Fletch, starring Jon Hamm in the titular
I love Jon Hamm.
As
Love
Fletcher.
Jon Hamm.
It is amazingly hilarious. We have both lamented in the past that there aren't that many movies that are comedies that are being released.
True.
This movie is as close to a comedy as you're going to get, in the sense that it's
Does that make it a comedy? It must be a comedy.
Oh, it's definitely a comedy. It's a comedy murder mystery. Let's put it that way.
All right.
And it's great. It's a simple watch. I have an affinity towards comedies. I have an affinity towards murder mysteries. So it's great that it's a combination of the two. The closest, let's say, comparison I would make is something akin to Kenneth Branagh's Murder on the Orient Express or Death on the Nile, but funnier, less over the top, and much more grounded in reality. So I thought so I'm all in. Love Jon Hamm. I thought it was very good. I don't want to spoil it for you, Ethan. For me, it is a must watch in the cinema. Man. And again, I'm biased, so I have bumped it up. My worst case scenario for you is that you will find it to be a mooch.
I can't wait to see it. I have to say, I didn't even know this was coming out. It's not even on our list, is it?
It's on our trailers list, which you haven't been keeping a track of.
Oh, all right.
So yes, it is a must watch, and we'll probably, I will do a quick review of it when you've seen it, just so that we can tell people what you thought of it. But I think it is definitely something that I want you to watch because I think you'll really enjoy it, because I know you also like Jon Hamm. Okay,
so that is Emily the Criminal, and a very good plug for Confess Fletch.
Indeed. Both are must-watches for me.
Same, at least for Emily the Criminal, but I feel very positive vibes for Confess Fletch, particularly because I think Jon Hamm is so funny. Obviously, we loved him in Mad Men. Okie doke. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you, Pete, for a great recommendation. And thank you also for introducing me to Emily the Criminal, which I'm still hoping there's going to be a
Point Break style sequel.
A Point Break style sequel. And maybe by our next episode, we'll be able to remember what that Robert Redford, Brad Pitt movie is.
That's right. And if you guys remember, because we cannot be bothered to look it up, leave a comment in the video below, or send us in, if you're listening on the podcast, send us a message, aloha@filmsandstuffpodcast.com, or tweet at us at F&S Podcast.
We'll be here waiting for those comments.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day ahead.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Films and Stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are downloaded. Films and Stuff. There is no substitute.